I got a comment the other day that really shook me to the core. It implied that my opinion wasn't the objectively correct opinion. Like this commenter either didn't want to admit that they were wrong, or that they didn't want to admit that I was right, or they just wanted to proudly display that they didn't know what the heck they were talking about at all. That's probably the likely situation, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that this commenter is just ignorant. Nothing wrong with that. Most people are ignorant about all sorts of stuff. But is being wrong really that bad? I mean, in theory, no. Some people are totally fine with being wrong. They just waltz through life, proudly basking in their wrongness, doing their little wrong things, thinking their little wrong thoughts, but not me. No siree, Bob Maguzovich. I take great pride in how right I am over 100% of the time. And today I'm going to prove it with science. Now, I know what you're thinking. TechDweeb, how could you possibly be always right? And I'll tell you how. And this might blow your mind. It certainly blew my mind earlier today when I realized this. I was just hanging out, eating an Oreo when it hit me. It hit me like a manager of a grocery store being upset that I'm eating Oreos before I pay for them. My realization was this. Every time that I've ever been wrong about something, it turns out that I was actually right from a certain point of view. And if my point of view is valid, then technically, scientifically, I've never actually been wrong. Yeah, that's right. MILFBong69. Think about that. Wait, what? You're still not convinced? Well, that's weird. I convince myself pretty easily. I guess some people are slower than others. So, alright, fine. I'll humor you. Let's apply some real science to this. I did a deep dive into research, getting ready for this video. And by deep dive, I mean I Googled it. And right before I got sidetracked by cute cat videos on TikTok, in my research, I discovered something called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias. That's where your brain makes you believe that something is true just because you want it to be true. And if you haven't connected the dots yet, this means that if I believe I'm always right, then scientifically, my brain confirms that I'm right. So checkmate. Science wins again. And by science, I mean me. But I don't expect you to just take my word for it. I know you're not really good at taking words for things. You want proof, right? Well, here you go. I have spoken to many scientists about this topic. And by many scientists, I mean that I once met a guy at the grocery store who said he was a manager. And I assume that means manager of science. And I asked him, I said, hey, do you think it's possible for someone to always be right? And then he took the box of Oreos from me and looked at me for a long time, like he was deep in thought, trying to process the sheer depth of my question. And then he just shook his head and said, yeah, sure, whatever, man. Which, as we all know, is scientist code for, you are absolutely correct and I can't argue with your impeccable logic. But wait, there's more. I've also tested my correctness with the scientific method. Observe. 1. I make a claim. Example, Oreos are the best cookies in the world. 2. I test the claim. I eat an Oreo, it's delicious. 3. I conclude that my hypothesis is correct. Boom, science. I've done this hundreds of times, and guess what? I've never once failed to prove myself right or been escorted from the store with a sneaky pocket full of Oreos. That is a 100% success rate. And a 100% success rate in an experiment means that the conclusion is a proven scientific fact. That's just basic science. Look it up. Now, I know what you're thinking. TechDweeb, isn't it possible that you've been wrong before and you just refuse to accept it? And to that I say, no, because if I was ever wrong, I would correct myself and admit that I was wrong. And I've never done that, ever. And since you have no evidence of me ever actually being wrong, that's proof that I've done my scientific diligence. Therefore, I have never been wrong. And if you disagree, then, well, I hate to break it to you, you're the wrong one. And if that's the case, you really should consider getting some science in your life so you can stop embarrassing yourself. So, in conclusion, I hope you learned something today. Maybe you learned a little about science. Maybe you learned a little about confirmation BS. Or maybe you learned that I'm always right, and if you disagree, then you are wrong. Which proves my point even more. Or maybe you learned that MILFBong69 should publicly apologize for doubting me and forcing me to make this entire video to clear my name. Sheesh, the things I gotta do as a famous YouTuber. So much things to do all the time, I tell you. But what do you think? Do you agree with me and are therefore a fellow scientist and seeker of truth and wisdom? Have you ever been right about something and then later realized that you were even more right than you thought? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. You have every right to be wrong, and you also have every right to be banned from my comment section. So please, all of you doubting dweebs out there, call me wrong. Get it out of your system. I dare you. My ban button finger could use a workout. And if you found this video scientifically enlightening, then click the thumbs up button. And if you didn't, well, that's just more proof that you were wrong to doubt me. Subscribe for more high quality science backed information like this. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
How are you, Ignatius? Sorry. I thought now that we're partners, you'd be a bit more talkative.